Welcome back to the monopolistic investor. In this video, we have some important news to get into, namely two. First of all, we have Tesla's Robotaxi event. Finally, yes, it took place, and many people were really happy about it. But then we come to a bit of disappointing news for me as an investor, but also as a human. Namely, the US has attacked Iran's facilities concerning nuclear power. Now, before we jump into this video, a quick note here. Remember, this isn't financial advice. Don't take my opinions blindly. Do your own research and consult with a professional advisor. With that being said, let's go on. We got the news that the US attacked Iran's nuclear facilities in an operation called Midnight Hammer. Here you can see the details of it. And we got the news on Sunday. This is how they went, and they bombed the 3 places. Now, of course, this hasn't been met with no response. Many countries have criticized Donald Trump's decision to do so. Now, what about me? Well, I'm an investor, so I don't have to think politically, but from my point of view, I live in Poland, so here, from my point of view, I don't agree with this decision because I think that no one should bomb anyone. I'm a peacemaker, and I know that it's very possible that this will last some time. So, I actually made a post on my Substack concerning that, the possible scenarios, historical ones and the possible ones. Here you can see after World War I, how many days it took to recover, World War II, and the Gulf War. So, I'm not really worried about this situation over the long term. I will show you why. I will go to my post now, and I will leave the link in the description for your information. And of course, this didn't have any humor because it's war. And here are the few scenarios. We have the quick de-escalation. If the US attacks Iran backs off, we could see a very fast rebound of the markets. That is one possibility. Escalation. If Israel expands its operations, the US might get involved, and thus it could result in a short-lived conflict which will likely finish in a peace deal. Those are the two of those, Regime change in Iran, that could be a great recovery over the long term. It's also positive. Prolonged war, I think this scenario is most likely, although we could be also looking at this scenario, so 30 to 120 days, possible, after this amount of time, it's possible that we could get a recovery. But for now, we actually don't have any negative market news. The stock market is relatively flat right now. So I'm not really worried about this whole situation. And my plan is to stay invested. Don't buy stocks I wouldn't originally own. And have a bit of cash on hand. And I did a YouTube video concerning that. So, that's one thing. So now we can actually go back to my presentation. And let's continue with the big news. The Tesla Robotaxi event. While I'm not a Tesla investor and wouldn't invest in it myself, There are some people in the world who really like Tesla because they believe it's futuristic, it has really great financials and innovation and all of that. Well, let me just drop a bomb here. This isn't about innovation. This is about cash flows. We are investors and we don't care about what is innovative, we care about returns. So I actually don't invest in a company because I think it's good for innovation. I actually invest in companies which I believe have good financials. That's what we focus on. But if we have to look at the three important aspects of any autonomous vehicle fleet, well, first of all, we need to take into consideration the safety and reliability of autonomous driving technology. We also need to take a look at the fleet management and the regulatory compliance, public trust, and strategic partnerships. I'll go over Waymo and Tesla's look on these type of metrics. So first of all, we'll take a look at Waymo and how it works. I think it will give you a good description of...
So much emerging technology is just a show, so one can be forgiven for not being able to distinguish fact from fiction. Take this car, for example. Can it drive autonomously or not?
The short answer is absolutely.
That was Shweta Shrivastava, Senior Product Lead for Driving Behavior at Waymo.
What you're looking at is the Waymo driver in action. Adapted for a variety of vehicle platforms, it is the most advanced, fully autonomous driving technology in the world today.
What you notice pretty quickly is that these aren't normal vehicles. Take this Jaguar I-Pace, for example. It's been equipped with an elegant array of sensors and software, which allows it to move through the city on its own.
Now, you can see here that it has many sensors. Keep that in mind as we'll go through this.
That's correct. The Waymo driver is a combination of custom-designed hardware and software that is responsible for performing the entire act of driving.
That was James Philbin. He's an engineering lead on the perception team at Waymo. I asked him to break down the technology for us a bit more.
The Waymo driver handles the task of driving in 3 basic steps: sense, solve, and go. It's the way we describe the highly complex process of acquiring information, processing it, and moving through the world safely.
So, what goes into all that sensing?
The sensors that the Waymo driver uses are incredibly powerful, using a combination of LiDAR, cameras, and radar. It can see up to 3 football fields in any direction and can detect sirens from emergency vehicles, which allows the Waymo driver to visualize the world around it in milliseconds to a high degree of accuracy.
Okay, sense makes sense. But what do you do with all that data?
Good question. The system calculates the predicted future behavior for each relevant agent in the scene. Then, with a strong foundation derived from artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, the Waymo driver crunches all that data and calculates a safe route, while responding in real time.
Now, this is a very important aspect in any autonomous vehicle, be it Waymo or Tesla. It needs to think about the situations that are happening all around it and simulate it. Waymo is actually using a very complex software for simulating all of that with many people, objects, around it, so it can drive safely. Now, I don't know about Tesla, but this is a really, hard thing to copy. So keep that in mind as we watch this video, because it's really astounding.
To the evolving traffic environment.
If I understand correctly, this means the Waymo driver continues to learn as it goes. is trained and tested on scenarios that it's never seen before, and can differentiate safe and comfortable driving behaviors from hazardous and uncomfortable ones.
Yes, well done.
Why, thank you. The final step in the Sense, Solve, Go methodology is perhaps the most straightforward. Go.
Once the Waymo driver has determined the path to take, our advanced motion control systems allow for smooth acceleration and braking on hilly streets, or managing bumper-to-bumper traffic with safe and natural driving movements.
So it's really here, right now in cities. Not smoke and mirrors, but true autonomous driving technology. Waymo is taking what was once futuristic sci-fi and making it non-fiction. And like all great technology, all that number crunching, all that data just fades into the background. And you realize the dream of riding in a fully autonomous vehicle to your favorite dinner spot isn't just a vision of the future. It's actually happening right now.
Okay, so with that we are back. That was an interesting video. And let me just give you some overview of what I'm going to say. So we have Waymo saying how they do it, what kind of hardware they have. But on Tesla's YouTube channel, if we go on to here and say Tesla official YouTube channel, here, even though it happened really, like very, not soon, but it happened in the near past. And guess what? We still don't have any official overview of how it works, actually. So, I think it's a bit confusing for me, but let's continue on. Here we have another review, this time of a Tesla rider. Let me skip to the relevant section.
All right, guys, so I just finished 5 rides in Tesla's Robotaxi today. This is day 2. Yesterday I did 5 as well. And I did a Waymo ride as well. So very, very interesting. All 5 rides from Tesla Robotaxi today were perfect. It was basically, you couldn't ask for anything more. There was not even any minor mistakes. It was pretty impressive. Waymo's ride was also perfect. Tiny hesitation at one spot, but it was good. I noticed though there's some differences. Waymo is obviously further along in terms of not having a person, right, a safety monitor in the car, and so they've been going at it for quite a while. But you got a lot of fundamental differences. Like Waymo uses LiDAR and HD maps and probably a lot of heuristics. As well as AI. But they've got probably a much more complicated system, much more expensive system, and I don't know if they have much edge over Tesla. Driving wise, I would give the edge slightly to Tesla right now. It just feels a little smoother, more natural. Waymo is a little bit, kind of fast, times, not 100% human-like. I would say like 98% or something, versus Tesla is like near human-like. The other thing which is interesting, is Waymo's like solution. I shot that video of Waymo's steering wheel and the center console controls. It's just so old school because it's using like an old school car, right? And they
Okay, so here we have a review of the rides, and we have the person say that they think that Tesla's ride was smoother. And let me just tell you, alright, yes, it may be smoother. I will go into other details soon, but just a quick recap. We don't have an official, I couldn't find it, the official documentation of, how they explain the safety features to the drivers. You know, there is actually a human monitor, so a person sitting in the front seat near the steering wheel, but not directly in front of it. I don't know how much control he has, but you know, there are only 10 Teslas as of right now with this functionality. So let's take a look at what does Jaguar have, because as we saw in the video, it has LiDAR cameras and radar scanners. So it's, you know, really, yes, it is expensive. They cost something like $100,000 per car. So that person is right. It is expensive, I'm not saying that, but isn't Tesla also expensive? $60,000 is also quite a bit for some people, you know, like me. I don't own a Tesla. What I'm also going to say is that Tesla has a bit of a different approach and a bit more risky, in my opinion. Here we can see all their hardware. This is from Wikipedia, by the way. And here you can see that they actually had radar, ultrasonic in their camera, in their cars, up to hardware 2.5 or 3, you know, somewhere here it dropped. You can see the exact range. And you know, in my opinion, it isn't a good idea, you know. Here you can see they have 2 forward cameras and their, you know, positions. And actually, you know, what is also a bit confusing is that I also heard a quote from Elon Musk saying that they don't need anything else than cameras because humans also use 2 eyes. So why should they use sensors? Now, I don't want to sound like I'm totally disowning Tesla. I really, you know, like their vehicles. I like the company, but I just look at this from an investor point of view and also from the safety view, you know. Waymo is showing much more advanced technology at play, in my opinion at least. Second of all, we need to take a look at fleet management and operational infrastructure. So, to order a Waymo ride, you need to download the Waymo One app and create an account. Then you can input your destination within the app service area and request a ride. And that's all. It's simple as that. And you know, we also had news on September 13, 2024, that they are collaborating with Uber. Now, I'm an investor in Uber, and so this kind of news is really positive. And there have been some discussions with me and some people on the Discord somewhere. I've been asking people on, you know, social media what they think of it, my friends. And you know, the thing is, it is possible that Waymo might totally ditch Uber's network. But you know what is different? What is different is that Uber, you know, has many users. But of course, I might be biased here because I own both of these companies, so I might get mixed up. But I actually think that Waymo, even though it can, you know, totally ditch Uber, it doesn't matter. Uber has 17 more service providers for AVs, autonomous vehicles. So I'm not worried about Uber at all. Now this number here is wrong. It's actually 250,000 trips each week. You can see Waymo, 250,000 per week. That is great. And you know, of course, regulatory compliance, public trust, and strategic partnerships. Here we can go to the website, the official website for the accidents of Waymo. And you know, let's go over from the very top what happened, how many accidents it had. 696, but not all of these accidents were caused by Waymo vehicles. They simply involved one. And there have been 1 fatality, 1 serious injury, 3 moderate injuries, and 11 minor injuries. But, of course people look at the fatalities, but you know what was the fatality? A dog. But, of course, there is another really interesting thing that happened. A high-speed multi-vehicle collision occurred at the intersection of 6th and Harrison Streets in San Francisco, south of Market neighborhood. A black Tesla, reportedly traveling at approximately 98 miles per hour, struck multiple vehicles stopped at a red light. Among the impacted vehicles was an unoccupied, stationary Waymo car. So you can see, stationary and unoccupied. So it didn't move, it didn't do anything. And the crash resulted in the death of a 27-year-old Michael Romanek and his dog, while several others sustaining injuries. And so that wasn't Waymo's fault. It was a stationary car, so nothing happening here. But another fatality which Waymo had is a dog. And that is all. It ran out from behind a parked vehicle onto the street. But it was unable to avoid the collision due to the dog's sudden movement. So, unfortunately, this is the situation. So, yes, we have here there a vehicle operator, speed limit. You can see that the majority is in the very low miles per hour speed limit. You can see the number of incidents. Actually the highest happened in clear weather, so I don't think it's connected to that. Liabilities, and that's it actually. We don't have really anything to worry about. Waymo is actually a really safe vehicle. And if we take a look at how Tesla did it this time, the first day, we can take a look at this article. Tesla's self-driving taxis appeared to violate traffic laws during the company's first day offering paid rides, with one customer capturing footage of a left turn gone wrong and others traveling in cars that exceeded posted speed limits. In a video taken by Rob Maurer, an investor who used to host a Tesla podcast, the Model Y he's riding in enters an Austin intersection in a left turn only lane. The Tesla hesitates to make the turn, swerves right, and proceeds into an unoccupied lane meant for traffic moving in the opposite direction. A honking horn can be heard as the Tesla re-enters the correct lane over a double yellow line, which drivers aren't supposed to cross. So that is the situation with Tesla. They are only starting out, and on the first day such a thing happens. Of course, you had this person reviewing it 5 times, and he said it was really smooth. That is lots of people saying that it's smooth, the rides. But you have situations like that. There are some other situations when it's going at more speeds than it should be allowed. Tesla shares rose 9.3%. I think it is, actually meaningful. I think that those investors were good to have the shares go up. I think it's correct because if you would be waiting for such a long period of time, I would also do it. And how it works. Here we can see that it's not a mass launch but a limited program for selected early access participants. For the most part, popular bloggers who positively cover Tesla's activities have been allowed to test. But it's not without a human behind the wheel. The so-called Tesla Safety Monitor, a driver who monitors the autopilot's work and is ready to intervene if necessary, sits in the front seat. But not here, but here. This is not exactly what the futurists promised, but a step in this direction has been made. Only 10 Model Y electric vehicles with a special Robotaxi label. Now, the price of the trip is a symbolic $4.20. And you have some people doing the positive opinions. How could it be otherwise if mostly positive bloggers were invited to test it? But you know, of course, I don't delve into the details of that. I'm only focused on what is happening here. According to the reviews, the trips went smoothly. The car handled curves, speed bumps, pedestrians, and construction. Everyone described the ride as smooth, familiar, and normal. However, the impartiality of such reviews may be questionable. Only one of the testers admitted that he made the car confused and even needed the help of a remote operator. It's worth noting that the launch of the Tesla Robotaxi service took place just before a new Texas law that will regulate the use of autonomous vehicles came into force. After local lawmakers asked to postpone the launch, Governor Greg Abbott signed the new rules, which will come into effect on September 1st. So, you know, we'll see what will happen. You can see there is going to be a black box for data recording, an emergency stop mechanism. So we actually see how this will all develop. But for me, you know, it isn't a good sign that, you know, at this stage, in a very confined area, at around one half of what Waymo has in Austin, Texas, they had such a big mistake. So that is that. Now we'll be taking a look at my portfolio and how it goes. Let's take a look. This is my real portfolio, not paper money. It's something that I do myself. As you can see here, my biggest loser is Adobe. I'm not saying that you should buy Adobe. You should do your own research. I bought this company and you know, I'm still holding on. I have 1.1 shares of it. I think it's currently unfairly valued, and the same goes to Alphabet. I don't know why is it going so down, you know. Really, it's, you know, a crazy thing. A company which is, you know, such a big one, you know, they are, you know, really good in terms of financials, you know, really strong. But of course, some people don't agree, and they sell it down to 18 forward, well, PE ratio, not forward. So you can see that Uber, well, you know, what happened with Tesla, this was around the 22nd, or somewhere around, you know, Sunday, it was around here, you know, you can see the drop, but now you can see it's still up, you know. There aren't some big discussions on that. Actually, I think it's doing quite well, you know. I'm up on that. We also have Caterpillar, the company behind the excavators, machinery, industrial one, Starbucks and others. My also loser is Mondelez, the company behind Oreos. Now, what I'm doing with my portfolio? Absolutely nothing, guys. I'm staying invested and bracing in for any impacts that might happen in the future and ready to invest some money. With that being said, let's turn over to Nabut Projects portfolio. Here is what our company owns. We own ASML, Google, Johnson & Johnson, Mobrook, Text SA and Zoetis. I will personally buy Text SA this year after I turn 18, so after October, on my own account. I will transfer all the money from my trading account to an XTB account. I'm not affiliated. This was just the cheapest account we could get for our company. And this is the money our company owns, which is invested here. And we got some dividends at some point. So, you know, I'm cool about it. I like the fact that we are really diversified in that. You know, it has different goals. It's focused, you know, on income and growth, you know. So it's a different one that I have in my own portfolio. So you know, there is also one thing I need to tell you, and it's a meme I made, and it's not financial advice. Tesla versus Waymo. Tesla Robotaxi, 10 cars. Waymo, 1,500 cars. We investors like memes. That's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Stay monopolistic, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later. Goodbye.